And we're live.
Okay, well, welcome. This is the Making Learning Connected Make with Me for Make Cycle number 2. We're working on memes this week, and my name is Peter Kittle. I direct the Northern California Writing Project, and I'm sort of the host, I guess, this week. And a team from my site has going to sort of work with us through this Make with Me today. And we have a bunch of people online as well to help us think through what memes are about. And so I think we should do a little introductions of who everyone is. So let's see. Jarrett, why don't you start? Because you're the furthest left on my screen.
Oh, me too. Okay. Gladly. Hi, everyone. My name is Jarrett Crone, and I'm like a recent English graduate student. Just graduated here a couple months ago. The majority of my research has been around digital technology and digital media and digital literacies, and so thinking about memes is right up my alley, and so I'm excited to talk about all this with all of you.
Memes are about, and so we should do a little introductions of who everyone is. So let's see. Jarrett, why don't you start? Because you're the furthest left.
Can you guys hear that back feed?
Yes,
we can.
Hi, everyone.
I can.
And I'm like a recent English graduate student. Just graduated here a couple months ago. The majority of my research is around digital technology and digital media.
We're getting the feed from the live minute
right up my
delayed
so
thing.
I'm excited to talk about all this with all of you.
Does everybody have their computer muted, or
Yeah.
that might help? Lynn, maybe it's yours.
Jared, why don't you start? Because you're the furthest left.
Can you guys hear that back feed?
Hey.
Hi, everyone.
I can't.
Wow. Did it finally stop?
Seems like it, yeah.
Okay. I know that you can't have the live thing going when you're on a Hangout because it will get that echo.
Why don't you start?
Ooh.
Yeah, so somebody has the feed from Educator, Innovator going at the same time as they're on here. And I don't think it's me, although I've been shutting everything down that I can possibly shut down.
Yeah, and I'm going to crack up now if it's me, but I don't think it is. Nope, I don't have anything open but this.
Okay, I think I'm good too.
Okay, good. Lynn, how's your stuff? And now you're muted.
He has the feed from Educator, Innovator going.
I think it's Lynn.
Lynn, you've got two feeds going.
Wait a second.
I don't think it's me.
I know.
Okay, no. Can you hear me?
I'm gonna duck out.
Can you hear me?
Call Christina.
Yeah, but Lynn, I think you have both the Educated Innovator live stream going at the same time that you're on the Hangout, and so we're getting the delay is coming through the Google Hangout. And when you mute, it goes away.
I clicked out of that.
Okay,
It shouldn't
good.
be happening anymore. Because
Cool.
I clicked out and now I just muted my... So am I supposed to mute my microphone?
No.
Only when you're not talking, and then it won't accidentally pick you up.
Okay.
So Lynn, now you can do your introduction.
Hi, I'm Lynn Jacobs, and I work with the Northern California Writing Project, and I'm helping facilitate our maker parties on Wednesdays. And last week was really fun, and this week I hope it's going to be fun too. But I'm a little lost right now.
Suzanne, is that you next?
Sure. Hi, I'm Suzanne Linder. I teach at the University of Illinois Laboratory High School. I'm a teacher consultant at the University of Illinois Writing Project. I convinced a bunch of my colleagues at work to participate in the CL MOOC, and their heads are spinning. So It's been a
Awesome.
fun week or so.
That's awesome.
I guess I'm next. I think I will do mine in Esperanto for all the Esperanto speakers out there. No, I'm just kidding. My name is Terry Elliott, and I am a tech coordinator at Western Kentucky University Writing Project, and I am also facilitator on CL MOOC this summer. So if you see my name in all caps, I don't know how that happened, but it did. If you see my name in all caps, it's not because I'm a jerk. It's just because somehow it got into all caps, and I float around a lot. So, and I see all you all a lot as well, especially with these memes, which are actually driving me crazy as a facilitator. Thank you very much.
Well, I think from now on, Terry, then I'll just yell your name, even though we've never, officially met. I'll just yell it like it's caps. Hey, Terry Elliott! So I'm Kim Jackson, and I'm a colleague with Peter and Jarrett here at Chico State, and I get to see Lynn in person sometimes too. Faculty here, I mainly work with pre-service teachers, English ed type people, and like Peter, he out-geeks me a bit, but not much. So yeah, I'm excited to work with memes. So Peter, you going to kick us off a little bit? You're muted.
Okay, sorry. I am feeling a little silly there, but I could not get rid of that echo. But it finally went, so I'm all happy. So we're gonna get talking a little bit about meme stuff. So one of the things that was interesting, and just sort of looking at the activity in our Google Plus community and things, is that there were lots of discussions about sort of like, wait a second, what is a meme? What constitutes a meme? And those were some of the questions that Terry raised and was addressing, and so I'm really happy that he's here to help us sort of think through some of those things. I'm going to share my screen here a little bit, and I think I'm going to do that anyway. I'm trying. And talk through a little bit about some meme issues, or some things going on with memes, some basic stuff about memes. So let's see if I can. Okay, yeah. So can you see my screen and stuff? Is that all right? Over there? Yeah. Okay. So Richard Dawkins is the guy who sort of came up with this term meme, and what he was looking for, he's an evolutionary biologist, he was looking for a word that would capture the ideas behind like genes in biology, what genes do in biology. And so he came up with this idea of the meme, which is like a cultural gene, a thing that wants to propagate, wants to sort of move and spread from one community to another, from one person to another. And when people started thinking about memes with the internet, it sort of became more and more prevalent, because these idea things, these little cultural units, started spreading all over the place with when the World Wide Web sort of opened up and became more and more popular, and so people were started thinking about this. And so this guy Robert Unger wrote this book about called the electric meme, and the very last sentence of this long quote that is here is kind of interesting, because he talks about this sort of replicator thing that's part of a meme, and so he says that he calls it a hidden homunculus acting as a second kind of agent, a puppeteer pulling invisible strings. Sort of this like idea that the meme has some sort of backdrop thing behind it that's making things happen without any sort of agency from people. And then Susan Blackmore, who was writing about the same time about the meme machine, she says this really cool kind of an idea about people being hosts. So the memes are trying to replicate sort of on their own, and people just act as hosts for them. So the last sentence there, she says, "We humans, because of our powers of imitation, have become just the physical hosts needed for the memes to get around. This is how the world looks from a meme's eye view." So how interesting, to sort of think of us as hosts for these parasitic ideas. that are trying to do things to us. And in sort of more recent times, people have kind of tried to problematize that, because taking agency away from people who are the ones that are propagating these memes seems problematic, right? And so Henry Jenkins, in this blog post that's linked to in the newsletter this week, called "A Meme is a Terrible Thing to Waste," it's really interesting because he's saying, that he has a lot of trouble with this, right? He says, "Sorry, Mr. Dawkins, but I don't buy the concept of culture as self-replicating. Such a concept feels far too deterministic to me, stripping aside the role of agency at a time when the public is exerting much greater control of the content which spreads across the culture than ever before." So he's sort of taking that to task. And so this is part of an interview that he has with Lemur Schiffman, who has this new book out, the most recent academic book about memes, and she sort of is looking at memes in a way that's a little bit more that takes into account those concerns that Jenkins had. So she's talking about internet memes in particular ways, and she says they have sort of three characteristics. It's like a group of digital items that share common characteristics. So it's a group, not an individual thing. And those that sort of group is created with the awareness of each other, so that you know what the other things are, and that they're circulated, imitated, and transformed via the internet by multiple users. So it's like a meme for her is like a collection of things, not a single instance. Right? And she sort of differentiates between things that she says are viral, which is like a thing that goes all over the place in an unchanged form, versus a meme, which is like a collection of things that people are changing and remixing all the time. So I think that these ideas or these ways of thinking about memes is kind of an interesting thing. I started thinking about memes I think I did a presentation on memes in 2005 at the 4Cs conference, because I ran across a viral advertising thing and I didn't know what it was, so I was trying to figure it out and investigate it. And so the first sort of real set of memes that I encountered and sort of studied, besides for this advertisement thing for Mini Coopers, was the lolcats, right? And this is this picture of the I Can't Has Cheeseburgers, the very sort of the initiator of this notion of a particular kind of a kind of meme as a genre, the picture with text captions thing, right? And so it sort of developed into this thing that I was interested in looking at. But the memes that started out of the sort of the lolcat meme were all like individual images. So the idea was find a new image of a cat and then caption it. So you have things like this, right? The teleport machine need work. It's one of my favorite lolcat memes ever. Or this one, which I like a whole lot. Reincarnation, not as Fred expected. Yeah, poor Fred coming back as I don't know what that even is, groundhog. But they were all sort of separate instances. It was not so much about like the same image being recaptured, and that's sort of the kind of meme that's becoming more popular now. And so this would be more of what Lemur Schiffman is talking about with the unhelpful high school teacher meme, where it's the same image and the same sort of idea, but with sort of personal spin on each one of them. So so that's sort of the ways that I was thinking about sort of like trying to give some sort of context for that, and for the sort of history of thinking about memes and how they work. So yeah, that was sort of what I was hoping to do, is give a little bit of a background on this notion of the meme, because the genre of that, the picture with the text, is really just one instantiation. It's not what a meme is. A meme is the thing that is taken, remixed, spread, it has this kind of sharing and creating quality to it that's not just take it and spread it. So yeah. So Kim, what's next? You're sort of on top of what we were planning to do, aren't you?
Actually, Jared was going to talk a little bit, and maybe even do a screen share of some images and talk us through. Yes, Jared, am I right? Am I right?
Yeah, that sounds good. And I just figured out the screen share thing, and it's pretty cool. Almost as cool as the pirate hats and the beards and stuff you can put on yourself. But yeah, so let me kind of direct us over to this screen real quick. This is one of the few websites that you can use to create memes. And I just kind of wanted to show you kind of what are the options there and kind of what it looks like before you start making the memes. Let me see if I can pull this up. It's only pulling up your screen for some reason, Kim. Let's see.
So really, it's pulling up mine and not Peter's? How could it be pulling up mine?
Hold on. So yeah, let me see. This might work.
Ooh, something's happening. Oh, that's weird.
I just did this with Peter and it worked fine.
No, it's working now, Jared. Actually, it's got your screen. You just got to bring your thing to the front. There you go.
All right.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. Now, okay, got it. So this is kind of like the first. This is where you go when you want to try to make a meme. And what's most interesting to me about this is that each of these images, each of these signs, has their own individual meaning. So people who have spent a lot of time in these kind of meme websites like 9gag or Meme Generator or Quick Meme, like that has all of these really kind of funny, I don't know, funny sayings and funny content around these images. Know rules and the specific language markers, the discourse markers, the purpose and the tone that are associated with each image, and they're very specific. So people who are kind of new to the meme game, or whatever I could say, and aren't really sure how to do it, it's absolutely clear to people who are a part of that discourse community. So as you kind of like scroll down, you can see that there's tons of these kind of different random images, some that emerged just from the internet, maybe like this overly attached girlfriend, I'm not even sure exactly where that came from, or confession bear, but there's other ones that come from kind of parts of mainstream culture. Let's see, for example, right here, a super cool ski instructor. That one's from South Park. So some of the stuff kind of emerges from TV shows, from movies, and stuff like that. Other ones I'm not really sure. So so even when the meme or the image is devoid of any of a type of text, like there's still a specific function and tone associated with each one. So in many ways, like the image can stand alone when it comes to the purpose of the thing. So I'm pretty interested in that in terms of the genre, and some of the kind of the cool ways. We actually might get into this later, but some of the cool ways that we've kind of experimented with some of this was if you're relating to kind of going to try to use some of these memes, say with a difficult text or something that you're trying to tackle, you can kind of use these memes as a way to access those ideas from different perspectives, because they all allow, they're all something that kind of allows for different perspectives. And what I mean by that is malicious advice mallard. See, that's the meme, and you're trying to describe you're trying to kind of describe an idea from G. That's kind of my go-to example. This is malicious advice. So unlike the one that's, I don't know where if I can find it right now, unlike the green duck or the green, this one's malicious. So maybe you would do something, you would describe the opposite of G's opinion about discourse or whatever that may be. So I'm just really interested in the way that we can kind of use these different types of images and these memes and these genres as a way to kind of create quick and dirty ways of making arguments, for making counter arguments, or kind of describing something, or any number of things. So let me see if I can get away from this now. Am I back? I think I'm back.
You
Can
are
you all hear me
back.
still? Okay. Okay, good. So in that sense, I'm really interested. Without any sort of the text or anything like that, the purpose is still absolutely clear. And someone asked the question the other day, like, how do you understand how to do memes? And the answer to that question is basically spending a lot of time in those communities and on that website. That's the only way that you're really going to get it, because a lot of the meaning are nuanced and very specific in terms of the language you're trying to use and all these types of things. So that's kind of basically what I wanted to say. Hopefully I wasn't too long-winded.
Actually, no, because I think what's interesting is thinking about one of the things you just brought up was implications for like how this can be used in educational environments. And we've talked a lot, you, me, and Peter, about, and with other people in the National Writing Project, about how you also have to be careful with memes, right? Because as Peter would say, the NSFW, which means not safe for work, not safe for school. And so I like the idea of thinking about, well, how do you incorporate memes in a classroom when sometimes they can be inappropriate for K-12? And what you're saying is, look, you could take memes and you could say, hey, now you've read whatever novel you can imagine, right? You've read this novel. You've read Lord of the Flies. And I want you to, in a nutshell, create a meme. And them having to pick the genre of the meme paired with an understanding of character or place is a really, like, in a nutshell way to say, I get this.
Right.
I actually understand this. And to do that across memes, like to take images that have their own backstory and have to change that character's perspective based on that would actually be kind of interesting. I think you'd learn a lot in a very quick, whether someone understood or that kind of thing. So, a really easy way to figure out whether something is appropriate or where it came from, as we all know too, and we linked that in the newsletter, is that Know Your Meme. And I just did a quick Know Your Meme overly attached girlfriend and did a search just for that one that you were like, I don't know where that comes from. And you get the whole backstory about it was, a YouTube video that someone took a screenshot of and how that gets started. So you also, it's fun to kind of dig through the cultural history of some of these memes. Peter, do we want to show how to make one super fast and just do that? Yes, I see you nodding. Because this part, I think, is the easiest. I mean, I think we have, in some ways, the actual technical nature of our actually making a meme is easy. It's the coming up with what to say that's the hard part, right? And so if I do a screen share here of overly attached girlfriend. Okay, are you seeing me fine?
Yeah, that's good.
Cool. So so this was, just to point out, this was the site that I went to called, can you guys see this on the screen, or is it too small?
No, it's good.
It's good, okay. So you can go to Know Your Meme, and it will, and again, some of these are not safe for work or not safe for school, so you'd want to vet them, you want to do a little vetting. But so that's one place to know, well, what is this meme supposed to be about? That's a place to go. And then the other site that I use a lot is Meme Generator. So Meme Generator right here. And again, what comes up at the front page of the Meme Generator are ones that have been voted up or are popular for that day. And again, not always something you'd want to share with your grandmother. Perhaps, depending on your grandmother. My grandmother would be fine, but other people's might not be. And so all you do is memegenerator.net, and you can go over here and say generate an image, and it will take you to a whole list of, like what Jarrett just had up, a whole list of memes if the campus web is being quick today. Maybe. Let the rooster in the background. Okay, and so you get some choices here that you can select, and they go on for days. You can check your meme. And actually, my favorite is, one of my favorites is Success Kid. And, okay, now you guys are going to have to help me. So we're going to make one. You see that? Rocky start to Google Hangout?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is the thing about the thing earlier on.
Generate.
I was going to say get over it, but
Yeah. He's usually got a success, and so I did this. My favorite success kid is lost my hard drive on my computer, had saved everything to Google Docs. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, yeah, and I share with the students. So that's it. And here now you have, you know, a made meme, and all I do is grab that image and drag it to my desktop, and I can use it. But you can certainly share it with all these buttons. But I got a good copy paste or just drag, and then I can upload it wherever I want to use it. So that's it. You know, there's quick meme and there's meme generator. Create an image, and of course the hardest part is coming up with the captions. So I'm gonna unshare my screen here. There. So yeah, there's a quick and fast making a meme.
Oh, that was cool.
Nice.
Let's see.
I love the roosters in the background. Terry, is that your roosters?
I have them under contract. And they have a slot of time from 5 to 8 every night that they're allowed to crow. And there's nothing I can do. I cannot hit my button. It's just the way that is. Sorry.
No, I love it.
I did too. I thought it was someone's ringtone.
And now we have to work that into a meme.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Rooster man.
So maybe we can hear from Terry or Suzanne or Lynn about you know, what you've been doing in terms of making this week. Any sorts of ideas you had, any challenges you had, any stuff that you were thinking about, you know, that sort of thing. So, somebody want to jump in?
Go ahead.
Oops, you're muted.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Well, this has been a real conundrum for me. I keep looking at the websites and I keep looking at these things, and I find that they irritate me. Like the lolcats thing, they just irritate me, and so it's hard to come up with one that I think is funny. And the ones that I think about, the ones that kind of come to mind are those ones with that, you know, that actor that everybody thinks is so cute, and he says, "Go girl," or "nice."
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling, hey girl.
Hey girl.
Yeah, I mean, and I always think those are a little funny. So I'm trying to wrap my head around the idea of a meme as a communication device and not just one more stupid thing to put on Facebook. So I'm just kind of I've been going to these sites and looking and trying to figure them out, and I'm still kind of weaving my way through it all.
Yeah, I had much the same situation today as the facilitator. I was looking back. I was trying to find my the note I made. I was talking about the happy problem we were having today, and you know, some of the things. I just wanted some suggestions. We have this little private community for facilitators that, you know, maybe you can get in later if you pay dues or something. But I was asking for suggestions for facilitation right now, and one of them was just get out of the way. Another one was get folks to begin to reflect on the play that is happening. Asking folks lots of questions. You know, I was struggling too because I was irritated as well. I don't know why, and I feel that I think that memes are intentionally kind of shortcuts, and because they're shortcuts to some kind of reality or truth or whatever you want to call it, that you realize that they're just, you know, they're kind of half-assed in a way. And but the main thing I've done today was create a game called the Meme Game, And I just made it by using Google Forms. I put the link in the chat notes. And I put a bunch of memes on there. And the idea is you could tailor this to your classroom, where what you want to do is you want to make your kids feel good about the stuff they know. So you put a bunch of memes up there that they know about, kind of middle school memes, high school memes. And then you have them go out and ask adults about these memes and see what they know about it. So I think, it's a way to get people to respect their own knowledge, their own personal knowledge, the tacit knowledge of their generation. And so if you want to go play, I put the link up there. There's 6 of them on there, and all you have, the directions are there. And I can open the doc up so that anybody wants to can add their own, or it was just ridiculously simple to make a game like this. So that's what I've been doing today, is trying to come up with memes to put in there that are worth the time.
It's interesting because I find them not like whatever the opposite of simple is. They're and like I was saying, like simple maybe to do it poorly just as much as it's easy to write in some ways a haiku or some one-line poem, and yet to really do it well and to really understand the craft, or to really try to make meaning and be funny and all the things you're trying to sometimes do, is actually like harder. I'd have an easier time writing a 15-page paper than sometimes creating a meme that's going to really have an impact that I want it to have. And yet I think that the meme done well would have potential for impact beyond that 15-page paper that I wrote that no one's ever going to read in some obscure journal. So it's interesting. I don't as a means of making meaning, I actually find them quite challenging, and it could just be the creative writer aspect that kind of comes into it, right? Or the being clever, or the amount of cultural reference you have to understand to get them.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting, right, is that Limor Schiefman, who's she's writing about these, and she says that it's this really interesting combination, because to do a meme right, you sort of have to be part of the community. Like Jarrett was saying, you have to be part of the community so that you get the thing and you understand the discourse around that particular image, and so the sort of inside jokes that are going on with it. But at the same time, you're putting your own spin on it. So it's this really interesting sort of confluence of the individual and the community thing. So it's sort of an intersection, or this kind of site that Schiffman finds really interesting, because it's that it bridges the sort of, I'm part of a community because I can do this meme, but I'm also this clever individual because I've made this part of it that's going on with it. That's sort of my spin or whatever. So yeah. I think that's one of the things that's challenging about it, is if you don't feel like you're part of that community that's talking about this stuff. So you do have to do a little bit of that, like dive in and investigate a little bit. And I think that the Know Your Meme that you were showing, Kim, on your screen is a really good way to get some insights into some of these sort of obscure images, because the image itself only contains the sort of the meaning or the symbolism or whatever if you're part of the community that understands what that symbolism is. I mean, it's very much like, it's a very sophisticated kind of reading. It's the kind of reading that when if you're teaching a lit class and you're trying to help students understand allusions in Shakespeare to something else, or or something like that. You got to know the thing that you're reading and the allusion, what's being alluded to, and so it's a complex cognitive process. So it's really interesting.
That actually, your comment about allusion strikes me as being really useful, right? I mean, it's hard for students to understand Milton's allusions because it's not their world, but of course they could explain allusions and memes until they were blue in the face, and we could look at them like we don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah, that would be an interesting way to bridge varying expertise, right? Like, how can we meet in the middle? Like, I kind of get this, and you seem to get that. How can you help me use this thing I know to do this other thing? You know, Joe posted, it looks like, too, in the chat roll, just the way in which some of the annoyance can sometimes maybe, Lynn, it'd be interesting for you to weigh in on this in terms of feeling like it's kind of an inside joke. Or, hey, I don't want to do a bunch of research to figure out why this is funny, because then it's not so funny if I've done a bunch of research. And I was actually thinking how Peter and I were having a conversation yesterday about the kinds of geek cred that you get the more obscure the reference or whatever. You know, the Reddit and the subreddit community and the way in which I think Peter and I get something out of, or even, you know, like one-upping each other. Like getting the referent or getting the reference, like understanding the depth of, hey, that was both a Willy Wonka, Princess Bride, Monty Python, Five is Right Out kind of, like I got all those. All your base are belong to us. Like there's this way that you feel like an insider. And I'll bet that's also off-putting, right? There's times when I don't want to feel like an outsider in this world. So I don't know, Lynn, if does that resonate at all?
Yeah, it does kind of. I mean, I feel like sometimes I get them, and it's like I don't want to get that. But then there's times. Can you hear me? Okay. I think I have this barrier about, okay, so if I want to go to this place and talk about this thing, I'm not sure anybody else is going to get it, or that it'll be funny, or it'll catch what I want to catch. And so I guess I just have to really think about this and try some out to see if I can figure out how to hit something that somebody else will even get. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I think it does. I think it's any kind of creative act is risky. And, you know, if you've got this template you're working from, obviously you're not going to be very good at it when you first use it. And any template requires a lot of repetition and work to get so that you no longer are conscious of the template. But the last thing I did before I came on was I was on the G+ community talking to somebody about, you know, at first I thought what they had written and what they had done was not a meme at all. And then I thought about it, I says, no, it's like you can localize a meme within your family. And I was thinking of examples of that within my own family. You know, we're all big fans of The Big Lebowski in our family. And we all say, when we lose something that we really, really liked, we all said, that rug really tied the room together. And for us as a family, that works where it wouldn't work outside. You know, like most memes are trying to be universal and to reach a larger audience. But I think that memes can be local and universal, and so what happens sometimes is that the local jumps to the universal, and that's when you get something that really is what most people define as a meme.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's.
And there are a lot of localized memes that people are doing because that's what they understand. That's where they are. You know, on the continuum of making a meme, that's where they are.
Yeah. You know, I had a group of friends who we shared a Google Doc. So, Terry, you'll appreciate this. We shared a Google Doc that were movies you need to see in order to understand me. And they weren't good movies. They weren't necessarily all, like, great movies, but they were movies that you quote from all the time, and that if you're hanging out with me and you want to realize I'm not being that funny, I'm just quoting from this movie, you should watch these movies. And, oh, my God, that was a fun exercise. Because, right, there is a way in which that's, you know, the rug really tying the room together is a way of building community, right, with other people. So yeah, I love that idea. How it is local and within your communities of friends or your family, and the memes that travel through your family.
It's also just, this is a sort of side note, but it's also a good way to sort of buffalo your family, because I made a meme about my brother with what's the guy's name from Parks and Rec? Ron Swanson, is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So because my brother kind of looks like Ron Swanson, and so a picture of him, and then like something about, I can't remember what it said, but it was some sort of a riff on my brother. And then I like tweeted it out, and then I showed it to him on like the computer, and he was like, "What the hell? Where'd this come from?" You know, and I was like, "I don't. It's on this internet website here." You know, I mean, and anyway, it was kind of a funny thing because it was sort of he believed that there were people beyond the family that called him Ron Swanson. So you know, I don't know. Yeah, that localized kind of thing works. It's an easy access point. It was a fun way to
work in a classroom.
Oh yeah.
You could use it in a classroom also, like inside joke kind of about your classroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, Peter, you know, that's like just your opinion, man. Another Big Lebowski reference there. So we've actually done a non-text meme within the context of the Google Hangout. So, you know, I think they rise up. I think they're more common than we realize, and that we just don't give them much cred when we really should, because I think, you know, like our thinking is metaphoric, maybe our thinking is also mimic, right? And we may have more mimic thought than we realize.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's sort of that's what I think is what got me. I mean, I guess what got me interested in memes is the notion that people can sort of strategically use some of the elements that make something travel widely and use those strategically, right? And so the Tiananmen Square memes that were in the newsletter, Jarrett found that link, and it was sort of amazing, you know, the way that if you can't talk about a subject because of filters in your country, but you can make memes about it and they'll slide right through. And so it's a way of spreading ideas. You know, in that case, there was a sort of subversive use of the meme as a genre. So I think that that's a really interesting thing for us as educators, because I think that we all wish that we could spread good ideas more effectively, and you know, that's a challenge. And you know, maybe we need to think about the ways that memes travel and help us use that as a way to sort of spread some sort of solidarity about our practices. But I don't know. I don't know what that could look like. But I think that it's something that's an interesting sort of.
You know, Peter, that just makes me think about what it is that memes reveal when we begin to look at them. And I think one of the things they do reveal is the connections that we didn't know were there, right? The ones that, oh, I didn't know my audience knew about the Big Lebowski. I didn't know my classroom knew about the Big Lebowski. I didn't know my classroom knew about this or that, or I didn't know about that. Now I know about it. Now I have the connection, and you know, there are a lot of we know there's lots of connections in the classroom wherever we are that they're unknown to it. We know they're unknown knowns, right? We know they're out there, but they're unknown to us. And memes reveal those to us in ways that are surprising, interesting, fun, and then it leads to other things being opened up to us in when we try to create a community in the classroom. So I think of memes as just a very potent tool for revealing the blind spots that we have in our classrooms.
That's nice. Suzanne, did you want to get in on here? I saw you writing stuff.
Oh, well,
And then writers.
I've been thinking about what you said a while ago about memes being, the hard part is coming up with something funny to say. And I was thinking about how I have a 16-year-old stepson, and 90% of his conversations start with, I saw on iFunny, and then he quotes a meme or a picture with a funny caption on it, and they're not funny to us because he's just, you know, quoting things he's seen on the internet. But also he has a whiteboard in his room where he's listed his goals, and one of his goals is to be featured on iFunny. So he is on his own in a, you know, interest-driven way trying to figure out how to make the kind of joke that the internet will find is funny. and that's not something I've ever really thought about in the context of the classroom, right? Like, he won't write a 15-page paper. His teachers pull their hair out, but here's this kid in the middle of the night working on this kind of weird literary practice, trying to figure out how to make a funny meme.
Oh, I love that, because that just, I mean, someone even was talking about this on Twitter. That actually just speaks to this is the processes and what processes that this kind of work connects to. And you already said it, Suzanne. You know, the idea of is this a way into interest-driven communities? Is this a way into how do I figure out genre? How do I figure out how this is going to get +1 up in this, what matters to this group of people? And those are practices that then we can make explicit. Like that thing you're doing, that's what I'm asking you to do over here. So that's totally interesting.
I also was thinking about, you know, I don't remember if I said when I introduced myself that I am an English teacher, so, you know, we're reading and discussing a lot of literature, and I find that comedy is always harder to teach than, you know, more dramatic writing, because it's either funny or it's not funny, and I find it often hard to, with students, sort of analyze what makes this joke work and this joke not work, and because good comedy is so effortless. And I also found myself thinking about that in terms of, like, I also find the memes a little bit annoying and a little bit of a shortcut, but also acknowledge that I don't have anything funny to say in a meme.
Yeah.
I think.
Go ahead.
I just want to say that that good comedy seems effortless, but if you look at and the same applies to memes as well. They seem effortless, but like you are getting on is that it takes a lot of discipline and a lot of practice to write a good meme, to create a good meme. Just like, you know, Louis C.K. or Chris Rock, it takes them a year to come up with 1 hour of good, seamless comedy. So I think we don't valorize or respect these tools enough, or disciplines enough. I mean, I think of writing a good meme as a discipline, a very powerful discipline, because it's because you're writing with purpose for an audience.
But one of those visual memes is more like a funny tweet, right? I mean, that's more like a comedian, and those take times too. Yeah. But not as maybe an hour stand-up show.
No, but people do write jokes for a living.
Oh, yeah.
The equivalent to writing a good joke is writing a good meme. I think they kind of cross over. It's almost like, go ahead.
And I don't think all memes are funny. Like if you look at like the Third World Kid meme, if you guys have seen the Third World Kid, it's actually provocative. So like if I'm looking at one right now, and he's always looking a little like skeptical of the probably humanitarian aid worker who's working with them, and he says, "So you're telling me you eat all your food because I'm starving?" And just an interesting, you know, there's an interesting insight into our cultures. You're told your whole life to eat your food because the kids in Africa are starving, and here he's, you know, here's a meme that's playing with that and throwing it back at the culture. It's not funny. It's more like, well, that's uncomfortable. Like, I feel uncomfortable now and bad. So I think there's ways in which their memes are also used just on the edge of being funny and being provocative and drawing our attention straight to something that's, because the Third World Kid also does a lot of really interesting meme work around water and the way we take it for granted, and really kind of points back at us. So I think those to me are really interesting, in a nutshell, things you could use to build off of. Like here's a biting. It's almost like a little biting meme.
It seems to me that writing a really good meme is like writing a haiku or writing a really brief poem. I mean, it's an art form. It isn't just something you can stab out with. I think it requires a lot of deep thought to get to those, to craft those few words, like a 6-word poem, that kind of thing.
You know, I was, but back to what Suzanne was saying, there's the in terms of like sort of literature and things, that I think that, you know, if we use it as a sort of meme as a lens, then canonical literature is literature that has good memes, right? It is stuck around for reasons. It's like, we could talk about texts that we teach and the values that they have for us in terms of the upvoting, right? Shakespeare has been upvoted for 450 years now, so there's, it's a communal valuing system that lets people, or lets something maintain, and it's a communal value system, but it's not a value system that should not be sort of accepted uncritically, right? So it offers us these opportunities to interrogate like a meme in a really particular way, as Kim was saying with the skeptical third world kid, but also could be something that then we can expand to the other texts that we use, whether it's, whatever the text that we're choosing to read in, with our students, we're reading them for some reason that we have as educators, right? So we've given that a sort of upvote, and we're probably not the only person that's teaching whatever text we're teaching. So there's some community, valuing that's going on that's always sort of present if we think about it. So the meme kind of gives us a way to think about a whole bunch of different sort of aspects of our teaching lives and of the texts that we use. I don't know.
Peter, I'm sorry, Joe. You should talk.
Oh, yeah, I hope it's okay. One of the things I noticed, because we talked about localized memes, and also people sort of being nervous about, am I sort of ready to participate in this genre? And noticing today, watching different writing project sites that have taken it on, where their summer institutes are participating en masse a little bit, I wonder about that, because I started to see, I was just flipping through and I saw some funny ones in terms of, I asked my mom to read my poem, but she doesn't know my response group protocol. Or, hey girl, I see it's your turn to bring breakfast. Well, I can make a mean quiche. And, so we know that those aren't going to get voted up on Reddit because they're sort of localized. I also think that, I guess the question I would ask is, as different groups, especially like a group like a writing project site that's a community of practice that really has, values, and, they might issue a call to action, how interesting it is when they sort of help each other, wade into this pool. And, just looking at that in terms of the potential to iterate off of those, I was kind of excited, and I think that it balanced out my annoyance with memes I didn't understand for the writing project memes that I'm sort of intrigued by.
Yeah, that actually goes back, I think, to what Terry was saying a while ago about the role of local lexicon or discourse, or that does tie community together. And yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at the Google pages today to see. I'm dying to get in there to see what everybody's made, because the teaching memes are actually usually pretty funny.
Well, and I was thinking too that having a, like doing it within the context of a summer institute group, that you have this like ready-made audience, an immediate audience for it, and so you really are like thinking about, okay, what's going to make Kim laugh, or what's going to make Joe laugh here. That's really what I want to do, right? So there are this, yeah, hey girl, there are all sorts of ways that we do that, because that audience is more immediate. I don't know. I was thinking about, I was doing that when I was doing my makes for the sample page and things like that. So, Terry's pirating of my Google Doc came up in one of the memes that I made, because I just thought, oh, we're doing this sort of riff back and forth about this stuff, and so it just seemed like a good thing, a thing to do, but totally, baffling to anyone that's not in, not following the MOOC or anything like that. So, yeah. But that was sort of the thing.
Peter or Jarrett, can you say a little bit about photo memes, because there's some people who are asking about it, and also it is kind of, that was not as familiar to me. You guys have introduced me to that. And the example of that, Peter, right, is the one that you have at the top of our, which we can share again, of our example makes, and it's the kids going in the pool, right? That's your visual photo meme, right?
Right.
And so could you talk a little bit about those kinds and what those are about? Because they talk about building community. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have text, you know?
No, yeah, they're strange creatures, right? So there was there was one called Head in Freezer, right? There was a Head in Freezer.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was about 4 years ago, but where the guy who initiated it took a picture of himself with his head in the freezer, and then he tagged it with a number that is like a 8-digit number or something like that, and had other people do the same thing. And so if you search that number, that's what you get, is all these pictures of people with their heads stuck in freezers. I mean, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, except that you're sort of like in on the joke with a bunch of other people that are like-minded. The one that's on the newsletter, that the razor one, where people are find something that looks razorish, and they or it looks like it's been shaved, and they hold a razor up to do the thing. I mean, this is like an old school kind of a thing. If you've ever been to Pisa, that's what people do at the Leaning Tower, right? They stand and they put their hands like this, and then you line up the picture so that it looks like you're holding up the tower. It's it's that sort of thing, but with this big community of people who are doing sort of their own take on it. So they're really kind of fun. I mean, my kids had a great time when they didn't understand what I was asking them to do or why when I was trying to blast them into the pool with my laptop. But I showed them the other pictures and stuff, and they were like, "Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah, okay, we'll do that." So who knew? But
something that strikes me so Christina sent a link in the group chat to Know Your Meme to describe the visual photo memes, because I was asking, and very quickly at the bottom of that Know Your Meme, you see that it's used by a viral marketing campaign for McDonald's. It strikes me that any of these, but particularly visual ones, are really, really easy to co-opt into advertising, and that enters a sort of a whole new ethical realm in terms of talking to students about how to read those critically and how to know when you're seeing some kind of funny community-generated fad, or when are you being advertised to and being co-opted into participating in some kind of advertisement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, businesses have been really, really good at figuring that kind of stuff out.
Yeah.
And they utilize it, they manipulate it, they do all sorts of things. Nike has just come out with this ad. That's this animated ad, World Cup kind of a thing, and it's totally trying to sort of use a kind of virality. It wants to sort of spread in specific ways.
Right, right.
And
but I just think in terms of media literacy, it's part of our job to bring in that critical lens, and let's help students begin to realize when they're participating in participatory culture and when they're being used to sell stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, for sure. So are we close to time?
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask Joe to do a little time check for us and see whether we are at the point of sort of last comments kind of a thing.
I think we're tied. It's 1-1, and I think we have to go into a penalty situation here. That was my last comment.
We're dangerously close. We're dangerously close to time, so we probably could whip around really quickly. And I just want to share, before I let everyone whip around, I have this. Needed to make a Make With Me hangout on memes. Northern California Writing Project rocked it. That's my final word. I'll defer to the rest of you.
Oh man, I didn't know that we were supposed to have a meme ready.
Yeah. Not happy. Peter, you want us to just do like a little whip around? Is that what Joe just said too? Yeah. You know what? I've been intrigued, and if people haven't watched it, Peter has a great Ignite talk that he did at the Digital Media and Learning Conference a year or so ago, 2 years ago, and it's about memes, and his call to action at the end of that is about educators need better memes. unfortunately, our memes are things like the 5-paragraph essay and or desks in rows, and they are powerful. And so I am thinking a lot lately about what are the better memes. Like what are memes I wish would move. And I think connected learning is onto something, right? There's ways in which you could think about how do we make the ideas of interest-driven, collaborative, maker-driven, how do we turn those into memes that grow? So that's gonna be that's the thing I'm kind of thinking about this week is what are memes in education that we would need our community, particularly, this connected learning community would be awesome. If we all agreed on these shared sets of, what we'd like to see grow, man, we could make that happen. We could actually make memes move. So.
Thanks for bringing up that talk, Kim. I watched that and I was very interested in that, and I was struck both by the 5-paragraph essay and the desks and rows and the power that those have and what it would take to move away from them. So +1.
Nice.
Just to kind of follow up on that, I see, earlier we were talking about that we saw kind of working with memes as being as kind of taking a lot of time. I think Terry mentioned that it takes, for them to be funny, sometimes it takes a lot of time, and I kind of, in order to kind of build them, and I kind of disagree in a way. I feel like the better ones are done out of some sort of spontaneous nature. They seem like something happened in someone's life, or something's happening in mainstream media that's pissing somebody off or bothering them or annoying them, and it comes directly out of that. And I think one of the reasons why I like memes and I like the idea of memes in the classroom is because they kind of point to this sense of spontaneousness and kind of urgency, which I kind of like in relationship to literacy and reading and writing, as those things happen when there is a sense of urgency and there's this kind of this sense of spontaneous desire to want to do that. And so kind of Peter's lecture about the desks and the 5-paragraph essay, I think in a lot of ways kind of what memes do and why I like memes so much is that they seem to kind of push against prescribed forms in a lot of ways, because in some ways there are rules for them, but as discussions emerge and debates emerge in class, I could imagine being like, let's meme that really quick, or people kind of doing that on their own accord and kind of sharing that with class. And so that's why, I don't know, there's that sense of kind of spontaneousness and urgency in relation to literacy and memes. I'm kind of interested in kind of pursuing further, but yeah.
Oh, nice. I think that that exigency thing is an important part. That it does make. I mean, it's like anything else, an urgency, and this is maybe a venue or a particular sort of genre that is appealing to a quick way of expressing a lot without, expressing more than just your words would say by themselves.
I tend to think of memes as high concept and low bar to entry, and that they are part of what's really good about connected learning is that they are invitational, and that they're easy. Once you've made the invitation, it's easy to accept the invitation with the skill level that you have. And then by reading more memes and doing memes, you just get better at it. And I mean, a lot of artists will tell you, to disagree with you, Jared, a lot of artists will tell you that, oh yeah, that was just the first draft of that. I just wrote it all in one draft, which we know is as big a lie as it ever gets. Great stuff is built on lots and lots of practice, although occasionally somebody does a work of genius out of nowhere.
I think that the connected learning issues are something we didn't really talk about explicitly, but the notion, I mean, these are certainly seem to be interest-driven in ways, because the genre is something that sort of appeals, or it has certain appeals to it, and it's production-centered. I like the production-centered aspect of it, and then the ways in which the thinking processes that have to go through are all are very academic, right? I mean, it's totally a thing that you need to think through, and that you find more complexity the more you look at it. So any last thoughts from anyone? I think that we're close to being off the air, but I'm not sure.
Well, thanks, Peter, for inviting us to do this with you.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Peter.
Thanks everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All the memes.
Yeah, that's right. All the memes. We want all the memes.
All the memes. Okay.